Limbo of the Lost stole many things. But you know what it also stole? It stole my heart. Now, I didn't come up with that statement. I'm paraphrasing it from comment sections of Limbo of the Lost videos. But it's very fitting. Limbo of the Lost is an interesting curiosity in gaming history. It steals assets up the wazoo. And it's not subtle about it either. Backgrounds, sound effects, models, most coming from notable releases from the early to mid-2000s. This isn't a fan game. Limbo of the Lost was a full-fledged release. It had a publisher. People paid money for it. It didn't take long for the plagiarism to come to light, giving the game a great level of infamy. It's something I always had a curiosity in checking out. I've seen the ending before, but what about what leads up to it? How do we get there? How is the game itself? Limbo of the Lost is a bizarre point-and-click experience. Now, point-and-click games can be bizarre with their puzzle logic, but Limbo can be in a whole different category. Egregious examples of pixel hunting that had me keeping a guide on hand at all times. Item combinations that didn't make much sense. But despite all that, and well, the plagiarism, what's original within Limbo, the eccentric cast of characters, one of the most likable gaming protagonists I've come across, its sense of humor, that's where the game stole my heart. Not all the time. Much of it can be nonsensical, but you have these flashes of charm and brilliance that I can't help but love.
Nice rump though. Shame you're immortal, Briggsy, me lad.
Do not say a bloody word.
And I want you to experience that as well with this video. We'll go through the good, the bad, and the bizarre of Limbo of the Lost. We'll also take a look at what went on behind the scenes. Who were the people behind Limbo? Why did the game take so long? What's with all the plagiarism? By video's end, you'll have a greater understanding of the game's infamy. But also, that buried within, there is something charming here. The elements that weren't copied and pasted, they have a lot of heart. Before we begin the game proper, I have to note this voice that welcomes us at the main menu. It's heavy and menacing, a stark contrast to what's to come in Limbo of the Lost.
Forget reality. Surrender to your darkest dreams.
The game wastes no time in displaying its plagiarism. It's in the first shot we see once we start a new game of a burning man falling through fire. It's a compressed, lower quality shot from the 1997 film adaptation of Spawn. Actually, scratch that. There's plagiarism during the game's boot up. When you boot up the game, you get the following quote. Mankind are the one that creates evil on Earth. It's the choices it makes that free or enslave our souls. To note, one should be plural here. This is but one of many cases where Limbo's script could have used a spell check pass-through. But this quote itself, change or remove a couple of words and it's right out of the Spawn film. A voiceover during the movie's intro says the following. Men are the ones who create evil on Earth. It's the choices they make that enslave their souls. Continuing on with the intro, we can see in the game's first voice line where they should have done a spell check. Now there's three names brought up in the credits here to keep in mind for later. Tim Croucher, Lawrence Francis, and Steve Bovis. Especially Steve Bovis. With that, Prologue begins. Do note the bizarre extreme close-ups and zoom-outs during these dialogue exchanges. They're part of Limbo's many, many charms.
Ah! So you are awake! Good, good, good! No! Do not be fearful of me. I am to help, not to hurt. I am friend.
Oh, who? What? Who are you?
My name is Eric, and I will help you if you ask.
Whew. Well, you gave me a start, Eric. But tell me, what is this place? And why have I been locked up? And how long have I...
Now let me tell. This is bad place for you. This is bad place because the dark ones, they are not mercy-filled.
The Dark Ones? Who are the Dark Ones?
Ah! The four evils. They prison you here. You must be of big importance for them to lock you all up. But Eric will lose you. You just wait and see. See? I told you I could help. Already I have lost you from your prison cell.
Thank you, Eric. But tell me, why am I here in this godforsaken place?
No, Eric does not know. But there are others that you will meet. They will be much more knowledged. Now come quickly. You have much to do. Oh, look there. You have an earthly guide. They are said to be very cleverish indeed.
An earthly guide?
Yes, look. They're on the other side.
Whoa.
Well, now I must leave you. But first... There. It's a gift. Take it.
Oh, no, really. You don't have to, honestly.
But I insist. You never know. It might be just of usefulness later.
Well, okay. Thank you, Eric.
Now I go. But I will be keeping eyes upon you.
Well, okay. So you're my earthly guide. Now what?
In Limbo the Lost, we play as Captain Benjamin Briggs. Pulling from real-world history, Briggs was a captain of the infamous ship, the Mary Celeste. In November of 1872, the Mary Celeste set sail from New York with Italy as its destination. On board was a crew of 7, along with Benjamin's wife and infant daughter. A month later, a passing ship in the Atlantic came across the Mary Celeste drifting aimlessly. The crew boarded the Celeste to find it empty. Nothing seemed wrong with the ship condition-wise. The cargo hold was intact. The ship's single lifeboat was missing. The crew of the Mary Celeste were never found, and their fate remains a mystery to this day. The most common theory has to do with the ship's cargo, that being over 1,700 barrels of alcohol. It's proposed there was some leakage of the alcohol. Fearing an explosion, the crew boarded the lifeboat, waiting for the fumes to pass before returning, in which case they never returned. The ship's log makes no mention of anything noteworthy. Another theory involves issues with the ship's pump while out at sea, resulting in the crew abandoning the ship. Other theories include foul play like a mutiny, to natural disasters, to the supernatural. In Limbo of the Lost, Briggs does make reference to the ship at points, but only in passing. He never mentions his wife or his daughter. As a point-and-click protagonist, I love Briggs. He's one of the better elements of Limbo of the Lost. He's curious, kind to others, well, for the most part, takes things in stride, and has a good sense of humor about him. I love the shrug he gives to this one moment. As seen during the game's intro where Briggs talks to Arak, Limbo acknowledges us as the player. Throughout various conversations, Briggs will break the fourth wall to have a chat with us.
Now, is it me? Or have I just had a conversation with a corpse?
If we leave the game idle for a long enough time, he'll take a moment to check if we're still there.
I have an idea. Why don't I just wait here until you're good and ready?
Movement handles like your typical point and click with a few quirks. Text will appear on screen when you highlight something you can interact with. Once selected, you right click to bring up the Ouija board. You have 4 possible actions. With the skull, you could sense. Something that's more or less useless. 99 times out of 100, Briggs gives the same response to its usage.
No sense, no feeling.
The eye will allow you to examine things. Most cases, Briggs will respond with a interesting and leave it at that with things in the environment. Sometimes we'll get a closer look. This is more handy with items we've picked up, which we can do with the hand, allowing us to take things. The fourth and final option is the skeleton for action, such as pressing a button on a wall. Why this and the hand weren't merged, I'm not quite sure. As you can see, there's a spinning compass in the bottom right corner of the screen. At first I wondered what was the point of it. Well, when you have your cursor on a spot that allows you to move to the next screen, it will stop and show the direction in which you're headed. The hand cursor will have a slight change to indicate the screen transition. This compass comes in handy in several spots. Limbo does suffer from a common trapping of point-and-click titles where it's unclear if there is a screen transition. The compass does help to alleviate this problem. For example, this one transition in Chapter 2 that takes you to this room where it looks like it wouldn't be anywhere you could go. There's another case of it during the swamp section of the same area, where it's easy to find yourself turned around instead of progressing to a different area. Like your typical point-and-click game, you're going to have to combine items and use them on areas in the environment to progress. Some can be quite straightforward, some more out there. Some very much in the realm of, how was I supposed to figure that one out? Now, I did have a guide on hand whenever I found myself hitting my head against the wall trying to make forward progress. Sometimes it was a case of a point in the right direction of what items to combine. In other cases, Limbo can have weird hiccups where you can't pick up something or progress until you've done something else first. Something that could be several rooms away. Or it doesn't make any sense why you couldn't do anything sooner, but that's how Limbo rolls. Finally, you also have the point-and-click classic, the pixel hunt. Some which can feel like real dick moves at points, especially for items in these shadows. I'll give examples of those as we progress through the game's chapters. You'll want to examine your inventory items on the regular. In the item description, you'll get hints of their usage. For example, in Chapter 1, you can combine a glass eye with an eye patch. This combined item makes mention of a slingshot like David and Goliath. We could use this item on a two-headed raven who is pestering someone. One of my favorite elements of playing a point-and-click title for the first time is the wrong item reaction. How your character reacts when you use the wrong item on something. It's a bit of a bummer for Limbo, it's nothing special. That said, the game makes up for it in other areas.
Sorry. Nothing happening. Sorry. Nothing happening.
Speaking of areas, the first stretch of the prologue may look familiar to you. Now we're getting into the plagiarism territory. It's because the backgrounds come lifted right from Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Later stretches of the prologue take backgrounds from the game Enclave. I'll bring up these various plagiarism elements throughout the video. There's a long list on the wiki for the game for the plagiarism of backgrounds, sound effects, voices, models. Backgrounds are the most prominent as far as the plagiarism within Limbo goes. Let's leave our cell and see what's out there. We'll come across a couple of locked doors containing imprisoned souls. Quite severe punishments courtesy of someone named Grunger for what seems to be small annoyances.
Imprisoned soul number 12589. His name, Jethro Quagmire. Punishment: imprisoned for eternity. Signed, Grunger. Who on earth is this Grunger for? Imprisoned soul number 12590. His name, Arthur Itis. Incarcerated for eternity for clicking his fingers. Signed, Grunger. Grunger, eh? I think I better keep out of his way.
Making our way forward, we'll come across one of Limbo's most memorable, endearing characters. In a game full of them, this one in particular stands out.
Say hello, sailor.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you up there.
I And what should you? What with me stuck up here like this? Any idea how long I've been hanging around in this salty little cage? Well, of course you haven't come to think of it, but really, it's like day after day, night after night, just sitting here. Well, of course, I do try and satisfy myself. I do a little bit of thinking, anything that's stored on the other stand on the floor there. Oh, and sometimes I like to start counting the bugs. There's all sorts of bugs crawling out, counting them, that keeps them going, you know, that sort of thing. Oh, and I do like to look up the ceiling. And pretend I look at the stars, because I like the constellations, I like that Orion, which is well there, and dingy little sword that hangs there, that's quite nice, I like that. And sometimes I just imagine I'm laying on the beach, and the waves coming like that, and I might even go and get some shellfish or some fluff, some jets at me, that sort of thing, catch some winkles, I like winkles, eat winkles, children in there. Hello? I say, hello?
What? Oh, I'm sorry. I think I must have nodded off.
Oh, that's all right. Don't you mind me. He must be exhausted, poor old thing. What with all that weighing in the mainsail and hoisting up the anchor and swabbing the deck, or whatever it is something old sea dogs do out there.
Well, so tell me, what are you doing up there anyway?
Oops, oh bugger. Hang on a sec. Is it good? Is it? Ah, that's better. Now, what were you saying?
In an interview with the developers, they mentioned they were going for a horror comedy approach. Monty Python meets Evil Dead. They did succeed on that front, although some points go far into the bizarre that evoke more of the works of a Tommy Wiseau or a Neil Breen. So this chatterbox here is William Nilmates. He's going to show up at various points throughout Limbo, and was always a highlight when he did. We can learn more about him in the world of Limbo from the game's manual. It's written from the perspective of Nilmates. The game came out in 2008, in the twilight years of the game manual. I miss these days. The manual can add so much character and flavor to a game's story. We could pick it up here and there through various conversations, but the manual itself gives a far more concrete idea of what's happening here. In this world, we are in the Keep of Lost Souls. Something like a halfway between our world and what's beyond. We could get a good look of it from a window during the prologue.
Where the hell am I?
Fate and Destiny are in the midst of having another battle. It's something they do on the regular to amuse themselves. Destiny believes men should have free will and make their own decisions. Fate believes he should have control over everything. Destiny brings an immortal to challenge Fate. For this battle, it's Benjamin Briggs that Destiny brought in. Briggs is but the latest mortal chosen for this game. Destiny and Fate have had countless battles in the past. Nilmates himself was the previous chosen mortal before Briggs. Before being summoned to the Keep of Lost Souls by Destiny, Nilmates was a famous troubadour. Nilmates was unable to succeed in defeating Fate, but Briggs has an advantage that Nilmates does not, an earthly spirit guide, that being us, the player.
Well, why am I here, if I'm not dead?
Only you and your earthly guide there can answer that.
We must help Briggs reunite the Seal of Sufferance, an item Arak gave us with the Book of Sufferance. This will save mankind from the tyranny of Fate and his 4 dark generals, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. But first, we need to get out of here. Grunger, the keeper of the dungeon, has the key. While he sleeps, he's not in a deep enough sleep for us to take the key undetected, but there's someone who's willing to help us in this task.
Ouch! Are you okay?
You kidding? After all this time, I'm used to it.
Oh, good. So, are you going to tell me?
Tell you what?
How to get out of here? You were going to tell me.
What? Oh yeah. Now let me see. You see the master holds the key to the dungeon. If you can get it from him, without him waking, you'll be free. But if he should wake, well, I don't think I need to explain.
And that's your help, is it? I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
They call me Ed. Ed the Hare.
Ah, I'm doomed, aren't I?
Hey, wait. Now listen, don't be so impatient. My master is not nearly. Perhaps you can find a way of increasing the potency of his daily growth, if you know what I mean.
Ah, like a Mickey Finn.
For some context here, a Mickey Finn is a spiked drink. Strange that Briggs mentions it, as the term comes after his time. It comes from the turn of the 20th century. A Chicago bartender by the name Mickey Finn would spike drinks to rob customers. You get quite the view while taking a closer look at Grunger. We'll need to take some of his snot for creating a concoction to knock him out further.
Wow, you are ugly.
To create this concoction, we'll need a few more ingredients. This will take us to another one of Limbo's eccentric cast members. The name that YouTube won't like if I say it too many times.
Well, I ain't got nobody. Do. I ain't got nobody. Do. Oh my word, a visitor. Now there's a surprise. I don't get much company down here. Well, you wouldn't, would you? Now come closer, me lad, and let me get a good look at you.
Well, what do you think? Shall I? Oh well, in for a penny. So, what? I'm sorry, I mean, who are you?
Oh, faggot's the name, and cooking's me game. Ha ha! And my, what a fine yield of flesh you appear to be. Ha ha!
Yield of flesh, madam. I will have it be known that I am Benjamin Spooner Briggs, captain of the Brigadier Mary Celeste.
Captain, eh? Sounds very grand. I'll have to look that one up. Never done a captain before. Might have to check me books.
By finding and combining a few key items, we'll have what we need to knock out Grunger into a deeper sleep. One of the steps requires us to free our good pal Nilmates from his cage, leading to further hilarity.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Uh-oh.
This is terra firma.
Once that's done, we could get the key we need to leave this place. This closes off the prologue and we enter Chapter 1. Limbo contains 5 chapters, each of varying length. At the beginning of Chapter 1, we meet the Keeper of Lost Souls. He bears resemblance to Maximilian Strauss from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. This isn't the only time Bloodlines is going to come up in this video. He gives some exposition which I covered earlier from the game's manual about the battle between fate and destiny, and Briggs' role in it.
So tell me, am I dead?
Dead? Why no. You are the walker between worlds. Destiny's weapon against fate. The Chosen One.
Chosen one? Chosen to do what, exactly? What the?
Here, let me give you this.
Sorry about that. Don't know what came over me.
At a store nearby, lifted from Thief Deadly Shadows, there's 3 items he could offer us. We can only take one at a time because padding reasons. This chapter is very much a back and forth affair with long stretches of wandering with nothing between. Although you'll get plenty of time to look at backgrounds lifted from the game Painkiller. I didn't bring it up earlier, but there's something hilarious about the fonts for the signs all around the environment here. Not quite Comic Sans level goofiness, but quite close. Making our way forward, we'll come across our next roadblock in one of the game's funnier moments. Dig the quality of these graphics, and once again, Briggs takes everything in stride.
Hello? Is anyone out there? Hey, are you asleep? Phew. They really look hungry. If only I could find something to feed them with. I tell you what, where's Nilmates when we need him, huh?
Despite the sign we came across earlier, we do want to feed these dogs to open these nearby doors. Each has their own bowl. Back where the keeper is, there's a casket where we could pick up bones to feed the dogs. Thing is, we can only hold one bone at a time. So you have to drop one in, return a few rooms back to pick up another bone, and do again for the third. Why couldn't we collect them all at once? Or why not have them in various spots for us to find? I give a shrug here like Briggs loves to do and say, because Limbo. This chapter is where pixel hunting begins to rear its ugly head. Near the room with dogs, you'll find a couple of urns. One with sawdust, one with oil in it. I found myself stuck here. Why couldn't I take anything from them? I have a container for the oil at least. Well, it turns out you have to click at the top of the urn, not the urn itself. The game counts that as a separate object. Now I could take oil in the sawdust. Thanks, Limbo. It's also during this chapter where you'll begin to pick up many, many items. Many being red herrings. You don't need them for anything whatsoever. We'll come across our old pal Nilmates, once again needing a helping hand from Briggs. As annoying as the game can get, these moments with Nilmates do make some of the more frustrations worth it.
Oh, it's you.
Well, yes, it is indeed, and oh, it's so nice to see you again, sailor boy. You know, you're like a knight in shining armor, you are. No, you really are. I tell you what, now, do me a favour, would you take this bloody thing away from me? It's been digging in my entrails for days and days.
Well, what is it?
Well, bless my soul, or someone else's, I don't rightly know. And to be honest, I do not care. I'm just glad to be free again and shot of that bloody thing.
Oh, I see. But
No, bye-bye then, sailor boy.
There's several new characters we'll come across during this chapter, like the Stone Guardian, who we can't understand, at least at first. The Keeper of Lost Souls gave us a note with some helpful hints, like how we could use the Seal of Sufferance from our inventory to speak with the dead.
I say, you're not allowed in. Now don't try to pass, not unless you have the soul of the warrior. You see, I'm not here just for the sake of my health, you know.
so we need the soul of a warrior. Now where am I going to get one of those?
I say, you can understand me. Well, that's excellent. But you still can't pass, you know. Not without the soul of a warrior. Now, I'm sorry and all that, but orders are orders on.
Another character is Blackhawk, dealing with a major headache caused by a nearby two-headed raven.
Go away.
I wonder if you could help me to get out of here.
Go away. Blackhawk trust no one. Blackhawk only trust birds. Birds, Blackhawk's friends.
Blackhawk. Is that what they call you? That's a good name. Blackhawk. That bird up there is really annoying.
Raven. He never stop. He annoy Blackhawk very much.
Maybe I could help.
How?
Oh, I know this one. How?
No. How you help?
I don't know where I'd slot Briggs as far as favorite game protagonists go, but he did win me over in droves throughout. Beyond seeing how many assets the game stole, I was always curious about the next interaction he would have with someone. This is where he used the ad hoc slingshot I mentioned earlier to free Blackhawk of the two-headed raven.
Many thanks, friend. Take this as memento of our meeting.
Oh, thank you, Blackhawk, but really, there's no need for...
Shh. No buts. Now, go.
Do you know what? Every gift tells a story.
Like no mates, Eric from the game's Prologue returns for shenanigans and some laughs.
I see your earthly guide is of much usefulness. And still you are keeping 2 of your leg limbs. This is good thing.
Iraq? What are you doing up there?
Keeping eyes for crunchy crawlies.
Crunchy crawlers?
A gift for a gift, perhaps. But now I must go.
Further in, we'll come across this double glasses fellow who doesn't know who they are. They're missing their soul, but we can return it to them. When we freed Nilmates, he gave us the container of this man's soul. I should also note at this point, most of the voice acting in Limbo comes from one man.
Oh, thank you, young man. I tell you, I was beside myself with worry, so I was. Well, as a matter of fact, I wasn't beside myself, if you get me meaning.
What actually is it?
Oh, did myself miss me? I missed me. I did miss me. You're just like a little piece of the Emerald Isle, so yeah. What? Oh, I'm begging your pardon there now. What was the question?
I said, what is it? What's in the bottle?
You don't know, you say?
Strange that a lost soul such as yourself doesn't know a bottled soul when he sees one. It's me soul. I bless me soul. Now everything here has a soul bottle. Well, except the soulless ones, of course. The keeper, you see, he'll be the man that gives it to you when you enter the place. Mine is very old and very precious to me, myself, and I.
Oh, I see.
Now, where's yours, I wonder? Yes, soul.
Oh, mine? Mine's very safe. Very, very safe.
Onegas here has the soul we need to pass the Guardian from earlier, but we need to put something in its place first. Which leads us to another one of Limbo's eccentric individuals.
Excuse me. What? Oh, I say, we have a visitor. How lovely.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Hang on. Do not be afraid. Is that better?
I have seen it all now.
What? What's wrong? Ah, that's better. Let me introduce myself. I am Sir Jonathan Rothbottom, but everybody calls me Bugsy. Because of my work, you see.
Ah, nice to meet you. I'm Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs. Most people call me
Oi, oi, Captain.
or Captain for short. Must be because of my work.
After a few bizarre item placements and combinations that had me bringing up a guide for assistance, we'll catch this Woodgator. Again, dig those animations and graphics. To take this cage, we'll need to cover it with something. A torn cloth that's tucked away on the side of one screen and another annoying case of pixel hunting within Limbo of the Lost. Using the caged Woodgator and some logic, we opened up the door leading us out the sewers, ending off Chapter 1. Now by this point we've collected several items. As mentioned, some serve no purpose. Do we need these items for further chapters? Well, for the most part, no. At the end of the chapter, a troll will come shake us down to empty out our inventory.
Okay. No need to be so rough. If you'd have asked me nicely, I would have given you those items anyway.
Chapter 2 takes us to sewers and swamps. Limbo continues to lift backgrounds from Painkiller for its swamp sections. It also pulls many backgrounds here from Unreal Tournament 2004. This is where the compass starts to come in handy for navigating around screens. What might not seem like a path to another screen actually is. In the swamp, we'll come across someone looking like they're wearing the reverse bear trap from Saw. He's not the only character we'll come across in the swamp.
Cooey, I say, sailor boy, Cooey.
Oh no, not you again.
Yes, I'm afraid it is me, sailor boy, and I was wondering if you could help me out of this bog.
Oh, I suppose so, if I must.
Hurry up, Briggsy. Shake a leg. Get a move on. Oh, no. No! Now look what you've done, you clumsy man.
Ah. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Mind you, you did say shake a leg.
No, that's all right, really. You know, I was feeling a little legless when I was thrown out of the inner sin and dumped in here.
Inn of Sin?
Yes, it's a little place that some of us poor lost souls do like to frequent from time to time.
I'll keep an eye out for that place.
Here now, you take this. It's been digging in my back ever since I've been in that bleeding bog.
Oh, okay, thanks. You know, that might come in handy.
Well, thanks again then, sailor boy. Bye-bye. I expect I will see you soon. Oh, that's better.
Beyond going for the Monty Python vibe, Limbo does a reasonable job in evoking the humor you'd find in point-and-click titles of old. Too bad about some of the bizarre puzzle logic and, of course, the plagiarism. I ended up walking around the stretch for a while, going on pixel hunts, but came up empty. Looking for a way forward, I used the guide. Well, it turns out I already had all the items on hand I needed to progress. Remember that shakedown that creature did on Briggs at the end of Chapter 1? That one that emptied out our inventory? Well, turns out the monster didn't empty out our entire inventory. When you first look at your inventory in Chapter 2, it appears empty. But if you click left, you'll find a few select items carried over from Chapter 1. Limbo of the Lost, ladies and gentlemen. With this, we use Arak's nail we obtained in Chapter 1 to remove the mask from the man here in the swamp.
That feels so good. It's been a while since I've been able to move my jaw, let alone speak.
No problem. You're very welcome. I'm sorry I didn't get your name.
They call me Quagmire.
Well, Quagmire, perhaps you can help me. How do I escape from this bloody swamp?
Well, there are three answers. And seeing as you release me from the last, I will tell you the answer to the first answer. It will be this. The first can be opened by using the opposite 6 with 3.
Huh? What does that mean?
I don't know, do I, you silly bugger? The last person that was tracking here told me that.
Ah, okay. Thank you. I think.
We'll come back to him for further clues in opening up these metal vents. This first hint involves a rigged dice that the Keeper of Lost Souls gave us at the beginning of the chapter. Up until now, I've only pointed out the backgrounds as far as Limbo's plagiarism goes. But the game doesn't stop there. See if you recognize the sound.
Excellent.
These sounds come from the Thief games. Deadly Shadow backgrounds weren't the only thing Limbo lifted from the series. This moment here isn't the only case of Limbo lifting sound from the Thief series. That skeleton sound that popped up on screen in the prologue comes from Thief. There's voices that pop up in the background every once in a while, again lifted right from Thief. Now when it comes to sound effects, it's a bit more up in the air when it comes to plagiarism. Countless sound effects in games, especially in the late 90s to early 2000s, came from sound sample libraries. That said, if you dig through the sound files of Limbo, many files share the same names of sound files pulled from other games. Beyond Thief, you have games like Clive Barker's Undying, Morrowind, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, and Rune, to name a few. When it comes to the game's music, it is clear of any wrongdoings. They hired an outside composer for the background tracks heard during gameplay. From what I understand, Lawrence Francis, one of the 3 main devs, composed the game's main menu music and closing song. And the background tracks here, they're decent. Nothing spectacular, but deserve to be in a better game. Oh, and that game's closing song, don't worry. We'll get there when the time comes. So what awaits us right after this vent with the Thief sound effects? The sewers from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, followed by more backgrounds from Thief Deadly Shadows. Chapter 2 contains one of the more egregious examples of pixel hunting I've come across in a point-and-click title. Take a look at this room here. You'd think you could select the bottle left of the door or the painting to the right side of the screen. Nope. See this desk to the right of the picture? Doesn't look like you could pick up anything on it. But there is a piece of wood on it. And when I mean it's a pixel hunt, it's very much a pixel hunt. I had to move my mouse around to the precise spot to be able to pick it up. If I didn't have the guide, there's a good chance I never would come across this save by sheer luck. But at least we'll find other amusing characters to chat with here, like the Worrymeister.
What is this place?
This place? Why, this is the office of the warriors, and I am the Worrymeister, of course.
Warriors?
Yeah, I am here to worry about what the others are worrying about, you see. It's very simple.
So, what are you worrying about?
What it does? I don't have the time to worry about you worrying about me worrying about them. Now, I must get on.
We have a funny moment here reconfiguring the trap Quagmire had on earlier to blind the Worrymeister. Speaking of Quagmire, he gives us this hint for the second vent we need to open up to progress.
The second answer you got is when you add it all up, it's the only way to go.
What?
So my thought process turned to the dice we have on hand. We used it to get an answer for the first vent. I thought to add all the numbers on the dice and enter that on the vent, but that's not the case. The answer here is 1 then 0 for reasons. The guide isn't 100% clear on this. Again, a big shrug of the shoulders, Limbo the lost everyone. But when we do progress, we'll meet another one of Limbo's eccentric cast members down the sewers here, that being Nora.
My name's Nora. Nora Ratty.
Well, Nora, do you think you could help me get out of this stinking, smelly sewer?
Smelly? This is my home. Besides,
Oh well, worth a shot though.
don't be so impatient. My furry friends will help ya. If I tell them to.
Furry friends. That would be rats. Oh, thanks. That would be a great help.
But if I ask you to help ya, what's in it for me?
Well, what do you want?
Well, I like to drink now and again.
Ah, okay, well, I'll do my best.
Bring me a drop of grog, and my army of furry friends will help ya.
Once we get her some booze, we could summon these rats of hers by carving a flute out of the piece of wood we found earlier. I'm not sure if I could say this is a case of plagiarism or homage with the Tomb Briggs plays here. To finish off Chapter 2, we need to summon Nora's rats with a flute to move this ball forward to plug a hole. The logic behind it makes little sense, but that's par for the game. This ends off Chapter 2, with no item shakedown at its end. Chapter 3 takes us to the town of Darkmere, where we'll run to the Worrymeister once again before he meets a grisly fate. Darkmere has fallen under a murder spree by the Soul Taker. A curfew is now in place. Once again, someone forgot to run a spell check here. There's a blind beggar we could talk to for some background about this troubled town.
Tell me, stranger, have you not just come from the black waters below?
Well, yes, but...
I'm afraid that you still wear the cologne of petulance. The stench of those putrid waters will hang upon you for some time to come. But in answer to your question, this hamlet, this town, this would-be home of ours, was named in honor of that dark and malevolent mare that lies below and above which the very foundations of this place were laid. Thus, Darkmere.
Now that was proper acting.
Heading to the Inn of Sin, which our pal Nilmates and Quagmire made mention in the past chapter, the girl from earlier will point us out, sending us to town's prison.
There he is! That's him! He's the Soul Taker!
do realise, of course, that I'm innocent. I've only just arrived in Darkmere. How could I possibly be this soul-taker creature?
Taking a peek through the cell's wall, there's an old friend of ours in the other cell.
You know, I had a feeling it was going to be you behind there.
Oh, well, you know me, always the unlucky one. You see, I was chatting to some fellow in the tavern, you see. Well, now, he seemed like a nice enough chap, so I got a bit waffly. Well, that's not like me, as you well know. Well, next thing I know, the jailer's arrived, carted me off, and this is where I ended up. He told me that the customers had threatened to burn the place down unless I was taken away. Well, it's all bloody lies, if you ask me. Actually, outrageous. I've never seen nothing.
He's not the only old friend we could talk to here. There's one who can help us get out of here by putting in a good word for us.
With wrigglies and crunchies and squirmies inside. Perhaps Arak might be finding such helpfulness in other places.
Oh.
Now I go, all filled up. But soon I will send some helpfulness.
Thank you, Arak.
No need for thankfuls. It's a gift.
The Mayor of Darkmere will put us on this task of getting to the bottom of the town's murders by the Soul Taker. We even get a badge to make things official. But there are other crimes in this town, that being a theft of the game's backgrounds, which is par for the course with Limbo. More or less every interior shot comes straight from the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. The town exteriors make heavy use of Unreal 2004 backgrounds. What we need to do here is use the map of Darkmere to make our way through town. This is the game's longest chapter. As we make our way through the various spots in town, Briggs will cross them off the list. We'll go to talk to someone or explore an area, find a new item, then new ones will unlock on our map. But it's frustrating in how this section progresses. We'll talk to someone who mentions a location in town we should check out, but that area may still be locked off to the player. Sometimes a door, sometimes on the map altogether. Instead, a new spot on the map will open up instead. It's all over the place and very much a guessing game of where to go next, where once again, having the guide to take a peek of where to go next can save you plenty of time and frustration. Like the rest of Limbo, the town of Darkmere has quite the eccentric cast of characters, like this one shopkeeper.
Can I help you, miss?
Actually, it's Mr., not Miss.
What? You can't be my sister. I haven't even got a sister.
No, not sister. Mister. I'm a man.
Tan, you say? That's never a tan. It's more like a beard to me. Bit unsightly for a girl of your age.
Do you have any rubbing paper and some charcoal?
What'd you say? Caper in a dark hole? Still looks like a beard to me. Anyway, what is it you're after, miss?
I think I'll just take a look round.
We also have the pie seller who doesn't seem to have the greatest of business acumen.
What sort of pies do you have?
Well, they're just pies, sir.
Yes, but what sort of pies?
Meat pie, sir, and of the best quality, I can assure you.
Well, I'm sure, but what type of meat?
Well, it's just meat, sir.
Just meat, you say? Let me ask you. Do you sell many pies? You know, I have a feeling I know the answer to this one.
Well, no, sir, not as such. Fact is, I've never sold so much as one. Be honest, I can't even give them away.
You mean you can't even give them away?
Well, sir, every morning I set out my good and wholesome pies at the foot of the mayor's statue, just in case any poor lost soul should feel mite peckish. Strange, though. Nobody ever takes one, so every afternoon I'll bring them all back into the shop and put them on display.
So, when did you actually make these pies?
Well, that would have been when I first got here, you see. I seem to remember acquiring some meat from the old abattoir and making up a fresh batch. Mind you, how long ago that was I couldn't say. not much call to keep track of time round here, really. I mean, it's not like we're ever likely to go anywhere else, now is it?
The town cobbler will give us major clues when it comes to the town's murders.
Tell me, have you ever made any boots or shoes with this sign on the heel?
Oh yes, I remember these all right. 4 pairs I had to make, all different sizes, and all with that odd sign on the heel. Must be the secret lodge. That's what I reckon.
A secret lodge? Which secret lodge?
Well, I don't know, do I? It's supposed to be a secret.
Interesting.
These murders continue as we do our investigation, like the blind beggar by the town's entrance and the pie seller.
Excuse us, Mr. Detective.
We're sorry to bother you.
Especially as you are obviously...
In mid-sleuth?
It's just that we thought it was best to...
Introduce ourselves, you know.
Make you aware of who we are and what it is we do.
For these poor unfortunate individuals, Mr. and Mrs. Dogood at your service.
Now look, monsters I can cope with. Demons I can handle. Savage, red-eyed hell dogs, bring them on. But bloody do-gooders, well, that's all I need. Let's get back to sleuthing, shall we? Well, it was nice to meet you both, but I really must get on.
Absolutely, Detective. Off you go.
And don't worry about him. We'll take good care of him.
Some will throw a snowball at Briggs containing a hint.
Whoa. Well, either she can't spell, or she's trying to tell us something.
Of course, I have to note out the irony of this statement from Briggs, considering how many spelling errors there have been throughout Limbo. You'll have these bizarre moments where a dialogue exchange will happen by a corpse and Briggs will leave the screen. You then have to come back to pick up the items with the corpse and NPCs now gone. Guess it might be an engine quirk or a developer lacking skills with the game's engine, where he ends up on forums asking every question under the sun about how to use the game engine. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Chapter 3 is going to fill up our inventory to a ridiculous degree. I think at one point must have been carrying at least 20 or so items, many which we don't need to use but need to progress. By that, I mean we need to collect all these items so that Briggs will call a town meeting to reveal the killer. There's one noteworthy individual we'll come across in the town stables here.
Are you trying to tell me something? Ah, so this is your mare, and you're being held prisoner. But why? Look at your horse. I am a horse. No, that can't be right. I love this horse.
Interesting.
As you've been watching this footage, you can't see that it's snowing in Darkmere. Despite that, it's not cold. It's a recent thing that began with the murders. It's the crematorium where Briggs will find the answer to this.
Wow. The smell of burning flesh is very strong here. Well, at least we know now why the snow isn't cold, don't we? Well, I think we should get back to Darkmere and wind this case up. And if I'm right, we don't have much time until the Taker strikes again. And my guess is the Registrar is next.
Rounding up the town, we now get what may be the game's highlight, maybe besides the ending itself. We as the player can put the clues together what's been going on here with what we find by the corpses. But Briggs has been working on his own here, and we get to see his findings. What we have here is a near 10-minute scene of Briggs laying out what happened to the citizens of Darkmere. With how things pop up on screen and transitions away, it reminds me of some overdone PowerPoint presentation.
You see, there is no snow falling upon Darkmere. All that falls from this sky are the stark white remains of the burned and forgotten soulless ones.
Let me explain, good folk of Darkmere. Who among you can remember when the so-called snow first began to fall? Does it not seem more than a coincidence that the snow began to fall as the first poor victims also began to fall at the hands of the Soul Taker? And have you never asked yourselves where the Taker came from and why here in Darkmere? A Soul Taker, as you may or may not know, is a malevolent shadow, a shapeless, formless child, spawn of the four dark generals. But a Soul Taker is not free to roam the realms of Limbo at will. No. A Soul Taker must be summoned, and a price must be paid for the summoning of such a creature. So, who would be prepared to perform such a rite? And more to the point, to what aims?
The scene kept going, and going, and going, but not in a boring way. More of a I can't believe what I'm watching kind of way. It had me enthralled. In a nutshell, there's a secret society of 4 members in Darkmere. They all left various clues next to bodies, like the shopkeeper's glasses. I had to look up if the real Benjamin Briggs had a background as a detective. He did not. But this Briggs here, he sure could have had this as a career path with how he laid things out here during this chapter. One thing that's nice about Limbo is that you could save during cutscenes. With how often the game crashed for me, I did save the game after a few minutes once I realized this scene was going to go on for some time. So, who is the Soul Taker? Let's see what Briggs has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, that poor featureless creature that you see there has for some time been a captive, shackled and chained, locked in the stables, far away from the public eye. As you can see, the flesh from his face has been carefully removed, perhaps by an expert slaughterman. Ladies and gentlemen, this poor faceless creature is none other than your very own mare. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you your Soul Taker. You know, there is always a price to pay when summoning and meddling with the great powers of darkness, as our 4 conspiring friends have discovered. People of Darkmere, the Soul Taker has been banished. Your mare has been returned.
This closes off Chapter 3. The inventory creature comes by once again to clear our inventory. Chapter 4 takes us to the Machine of the Keep. This area makes heavy use of Unreal Tournament 2004 for its backgrounds. On the wiki, there are several unconfirmed backgrounds here of where they may come from. Remember how I said back in Chapter 2 I had to click left to find prior leftover items? I did the same here to find an empty inventory, or at least so I thought. There was one point I picked up an item and didn't see in my inventory. Uh-oh. Is the game bugging out here? Well, no, it's in my inventory. This time I had to click left several times to see my inventory and what was in it. 1 to 2 clicks wasn't enough. Once again, Limbo of the Lost. The Machine is a train station with many stops. We're not alone here. We'll hear someone else over the intercom when we make a trip.
Oh, the boat! Ladies and gentlemen, you have arrived at Tower 1. Now, please ensure that you take all of your belongings with you. We hope you've enjoyed your travelling with Rack Brewing Railways, and, well, you know, we get you there. Eventually.
We'll find him working away, and he needs our help to fix things up.
Hello? How do I get across? Are you okay?
What? Who is this trespasser? What is he doing walking around my lovely creation? If he hurts her, I will. Wait here, Jeffro, me old fella. He could help us out of this mess. Yes, you're right, he could.
Hello? Janitor here? Wave if you can hear me. Oh, okay. Good. Now listen carefully. The place that you are now in is the machine. It gives power to the whole of the keep. But she's gone into lockdown because of a fault and I need to fix her. Well, I hope you're getting all this.
This sends us on a wild goose chase or another pixel hunt. Some of these felt like real dick moves, like finding this metal bar in these shadows next to this bench, or this metal plate lurking in the corner shadows of this one room. There's also this one room here where it looks like there's nothing. Well, if you move Briggs over from where he enters, you'll find he was blocking an item we need to progress. There's several stations here with nothing to do, only to pad things out further. You have one of those bizarre point-and-click logic puzzles where you need to fix this one track. Use tongs you found on the one skull to pull its gold teeth, combine the gold teeth with a metal bar, and place it on the track. This is a pretty short chapter. Well, if you know where to go and what to do, or if you have the guide on hand. Much shorter than prior chapters. The janitor here needs help fixing up the machine's heart with items Briggs will find. Of course, not everything goes to plan. Can you guess who pops by to cause some shenanigans?
Oh no. What's going on now?
Oh my word, what's happening? Where am I? I was just having a nice little snooze then and minding my own business, going about things, and then now I find myself here, I don't know where I am. Oh my life! How did I get right up here then? Now, I wonder what this lever does. Oh? Okay, then what about this one? Oh no! We're off!
This also ends with Neilmates getting the Hassan Piker dog treatment.
Neilmate! No! Oh, I'm so sorry! When will he ever learn?
This robot that Neilmates pilots, this came from a store-bought 3D model. Well, assuming they bought the model and didn't find it elsewhere, wouldn't surprise me considering all the other lifted assets. We are now on the 5th and final chapter, the Citadel, making once again more use of Unreal Tournament 2004 backgrounds. We need to pick up 7 door knockers for the 7 deadly sins. There's also a statue with slots that need coins of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Putting these coins in these statue slots will open doors, several rooms away. There's no real indication of what you did here beyond a distinct sound. It's a big no-no when it comes to these kind of games. But then again, that's par for the course when it comes to Limbo. That also includes another case of pixel hunting here with some of these door knockers. Some there were no issues with the locations, others will lurk in these shadows tucked away in corners. This main room is quite awkward when it comes to clicking the right direction for these 7 doors, even with the compass. So what happens when we have all 7 door knockers in place? Tonal whiplash, to say the least.
It's very dark down here. What? Oh, my head. Where the hell am I? Intruder! The Dark One knows you. Where is the seal? The Chosen commands your death. You answer to me.
As the game states, time is of the essence. We need to solve this puzzle before time runs out. Well, that's not exactly what's going on here time-wise, but if you enter and re-enter rooms too often, that will run down time and we get a game over. You also can't save during the stretch, which is annoying as you have to go through the cutscene again, which as far as I know, you can't skip. There's a shield on the ground next to the one statue with several symbols. What we need to do here is enter each symbol in order. This requires a trip to each of these 7 rooms for each of the 7 deadly sins. Thing is, you have to go into each room to learn what symbols the sin corresponds with. This is a trial and error affair. Entering each room as mentioned will run down your time. You don't have a ton of leeway on that front, or of course, use the guide here. With the last symbol, we'll get a collection of letters here. Looks like the letters to the word destiny. Stepping through a portal, we'll end up back in the room with Briggs. That Ouija board that pops up each time we select an action, there's been the alphabet here the whole time, but we've never had a use of. Until now. We spell out destiny, which I will admit is a clever way to end off the game. This frees Briggs as we defeat fate. And now, we have the ending. If you had any level of familiarity of Limbo before this video, I'm guessing this is the moment you knew about. Beyond the plagiarism, of course.
What's going on? I can't see a thing.
Go on, Rita, baby. Now that sounds really groovy. I tell you what, let's sing. Well, it's nice to see Briggs safe and sound. After all he's been around, and in my view he should be crowned the king of Limbo. Well, he's had his ups and he's had his downs. He's had his smiles and he's had his frowns. But I still say he should be crowned the king of Limbo. Oh, what more can a poor boy do? Working for the likes of me and you. What more can a poor boy say? But I could use your help in any way. He took his courage to the brink. If it were me, I would turn to drink. Well, that's the reason I think he should be the king of Limbo. Yeah, he had to face enough sins, but at least he kept his leggy limbs. I think that we should be crowning him the king of Limbo. Take it away with you, baby. That's cool. What more can a poor boy do? Working for the likes of me and you. What more can a poor boy say? But I could use your help in any way. We've all had fun, you must agree. Even though interactively, but now we feel that Briggs should be the king of Limbo. A do-up. A doobie-doo-ups, a do-ups, a doobie-doo-ups, a do-ups, a doobie-doo-ups, the king of Limbo. A do-ups, a doobie-doo-ups, a do-ups, a doobie-doo-ups, a do-ups, a doobie-doo-ups, king of Limbo.
I mean, what do you say to an ending like that? As I started the video off with, that YouTube comment of how Limbo the Lost stole many things, including my heart, rings true. I can't think of any game off the top of my head that ends with a musical number. For good reason, the tone needs to be just right. But for Limbo, it's a fitting send-off. This, like all the music, is an original composition. No thievery involved. Although it did make me think of the show ending to Neon Genesis Evangelion. But that's not all here. We have a sequel hook that follows the song with fate and destiny bickering with one another.
Damn you and damn your puny mankind.
Oh, my dear brother, you are such a poor loser.
Double or nothing, my brother.
I accept.
The bull.
Where is the bull?
It is where your precious mankind's curiosity might find it.
Then let the battle commence.
Oh, it already has, dear brother. It already has.
Of course, that sequel never came to fruition, which shouldn't come as a surprise with the game's plagiarism coming to light not long after its release. I've brought it up throughout the video, but let's dive into what went on behind the scenes here. There was a 2001 long-form article from a defunct Swedish magazine of one journalist trying to get to the bottom of what happened with Limbo of the Lost. This is a Cole's Note summary of the article. I'll link to it in the pinned comment description if you're interested. It's a great read. As brought up earlier, the game credits 3 individuals. Tim Croucher as research, vocals, and co-game designer. Lawrence Francis as lead vocals, puzzle design, Limbo theme music, and co-game designer. He does the voice of Briggs and many other characters. I don't know what the breakdown is for which voices he did versus Tim, but I'm guessing most of what we hear here is Lawrence. It wouldn't surprise me if this ending with all the characters is Lawrence's voice layered over one another of him singing. And then, we have Steve Bovis. Graphics, sound, programming, lead game designer, creative, and project director. This low-res photo of the 3 of them together, Steve in the middle, is the only photo I could find of him. I'm sure you're starting to see where the plagiarism problems with his credentials. Now, not listed in the credits, but mentioned in different interviews is Lisa Heisted. She handled contract negotiations with publishers and playtesting. She may be the one doing the voices for the female characters. Or who knows, maybe Lawrence did as well with his voice pitched up. He does have range.
Mon Dieu, s'il vous plaît, monsieur. Do not say those 2 words within this house. Shadows may seek even this place.
Hey, come on. Give her a chance at least. So, what is it that you see?
Monsieur Detective, I shall tell you, but only once. Look again at the wall. You may progress further. Left, right, and center. Then on to the truth.
The origins of Limbo of the Lost stretch far as back as the late 1980s. During that time in Maidstone, England, about 40 miles southeast of London, Tim Croucher and Steve Bovis meet in a computer shop. Steve asks Tim if they have any pirated games for sale. Setting the stage here, aren't we, Steve? The two become thick as thieves. With their shared love of text-adventure games, they hatch up their own idea for one, that being Limbo of the Lost. Tim coming up with the idea and story, with Steve handling the programming. They started developing the text-adventure for the Atari ST. Due to declining market share, they would switch development to the Amiga CD32 from Commodore in the early 1990s, to the point where it appears the game was close to shipping. There are several articles and magazines you could find on the game from 1995, saying it would ship later that year. They did also release a demo of it, a demo consisting of only 2 screens. I tried to get it running with an emulator, but was unable to. This footage you see here comes from a YouTube playthrough of it. I'll link to it in the pinned comment description if you're interested. As you could hear, that's Lawrence Francis as Briggs in that demo.
Are you still there?
Looking through articles and a couple of interviews, I couldn't pin down exactly when Lawrence got involved, or how he met the other two. It seems that he did the music, the voices, and some of the puzzles for this version. While they secured a publisher, that publisher would fold under before the game's release. As well, the Amiga market dwindled, leaving them and many other developers high and dry. They'd go back, focus on their day jobs and families, but Steve and Tim kept the idea of the game in their minds. Steve comes across the Wintermute game engine, an engine designed for point-and-click games in the early 2000s. In early 2004, Steve and Tim met up with Lawrence at The Pilot, a pub Lawrence owned. They show Lawrence what they've been working on, and Lawrence joins the team once again. He gave up ownership of his pub so he could focus on the game. Oh boy, Steve must have been quite the convincing fellow here. In the contract drawn up by Steve, one condition is, quote, all material must be self-created. Boy, talk about foreshadowing. The three spent the next few years working on the game, with it releasing in 2008. And now, we get to the exposure of Limbo's plagiarism. A new hire of the defunct gaming website Game Plasma receives a copy of Limbo the Lost to review. His first game to cover. Imagine that. Of all the possible games you could cover, Limbo the Lost is your first assignment. For the first couple of chapters, he has a sense of recollection when it comes to the backgrounds, like he's seen them before. As well, why do they look so dated? It's chapter 3 in Dark Mirror where things click into place. He recognizes the backgrounds from Oblivion, which at this point is only a couple of years old. He fires up the game on his computer to capture some screenshots for comparison. He sends the findings to his editor, and Game Plasma publishes an article to its front page. All hell breaks loose. The game's publisher pulls the game from store and digital storefronts and cuts all ties. As word spreads, do note again this is back in 2008, the internet was a very different place. It was that transition period where forums and game websites start to lose traction to social media. At this point, social media sites were still in their infancy and prominence. Some try to hunt down the 3 developers of Limbo. A poker player who shared the same name as Steve Bovis ended up doxxed. I'm sure these investigators went on to be Redditors trying to identify the Boston bomber a few years later. So how did the team respond? They, and by they I'm guessing Steve Bovis, said that they were unaware of the plagiarism. They had a contractor on the project who worked on the backgrounds and the sound effects. It was their fault. But that does not add up whatsoever when it comes to the evidence. If you look at any interviews for the game, Steve Bovis makes it clear his role in it. He put the game together, creating all the visuals, the coding, the sound, the models. Then there's the Wintermute forums, the game engine they used to develop Limbo. From mid-2004 to mid-2008, Steve was a frequent poster on the forums. Going by S. Bovis, there's over 400 posts asking every little thing under the sun about the engine itself. All signs point to Steve for plagiarism. In a press release, Lawrence and Tim would announce their departure from the studio, severing all ties with Steve. They were unaware of the plagiarism and assumed all the works Steve did were original. In what may have been their last conversation, Lawrence calls up Steve asking him how he could live with himself. Quote, "You failed me, you failed Tim, you failed your family, you failed every small game developer who hopes to be taken seriously. What you've done is unforgivable." To which Steve replies with, "I know." Now, reading through this article, one thought kept popping up in the back of my mind. Wouldn't Lawrence and wouldn't Tim be aware of this plagiarism? Some sources Steve lifted from here weren't exactly obscure games. Well, Lawrence himself wasn't much of a gamer. He played less than a handful of games in his life, one of those being The Secret of Monkey Island. For Tim, he focused on making the game, and didn't spend time playing games. But Steve spent plenty of his free time playing them. Once the plagiarism came to light, Tim realized they were from games Steve liked to play. Those including Diablo 2, Clive Barker's Undying, Morrowind, Oblivion, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, the Thief series, Unreal Tournament 2004, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, Painkiller, World of Warcraft, Rune. Which I will note, Steve does have reasonable taste in games. Shame about the thievery, of course. The controversy of the game's plagiarism would die down as people in time moved on, but there was someone who wanted to get to the bottom of the story. That being Johan Martinson, the writer of this article. A couple years after Limbo's release, he starts digging around. He wants to see if he could get into contact with the 3 team members. After a few failed searches, he does come across a source that does catch his eye. There were a few Steve Bovises in the Maidstone area, but one does mention a Steve Bovis living with a Lisa Highstead, a name I brought up earlier. She worked on the game as a playtester and negotiated the contracts with publishers. He now has Steve's address and uses the same source to find Lawrence Francis. He sends each of them a letter to see if they're willing to talk. A couple weeks later, Johan hears back from Lawrence, who's willing to share his side of the story. Lawrence is able to look back on the situation and have a laugh at it. But the same can't be said for Tim Croucher. Lawrence, who is still on good terms with Tim, gets him in touch with Johan. The whole event crushed Tim to his very core. He was having trouble moving on. Reading through the article, it's clear how soul-crushing the experience had been for Tim. It's clear as day that he let Steve push him around all things related to Limbo the Lost despite their friendship. Despite coming up with the story, during publisher talks in the mid-90s, Steve took the claim of being the brains behind Limbo. When they restarted development as a team in 2004, Tim's work took more of a backseat. Lawrence was the head of scripting and puzzle design, which I find bizarre on the puzzle front, considering he played less than a handful of games in his life. That does explain the bizarre puzzle logic on display here, in a different way than you could find in other point-and-click games. But wait until you hear about the royalties split amongst the 3, 50% for Steve, 35% for Lawrence, 8% put aside for funding of the sequel, and 7% for Tim. Now, why did Tim agree to this? Tim wanted to have something on the shelf that he could point and say, I worked on that, even if it meant accepting such a low percentage for his work. Why he didn't push back, I don't know. Despite their friendship, he seemed to have a very different personality from Steve, who would take advantage of that. Back to Steve, Johan doesn't get a response from the letter he sent to him, but he has his address and decides to try meeting him face to face to get his side of the story. Going to Steve's home, he's greeted at the door by Lisa. As mentioned earlier, she's the woman who negotiated the contracts with publishers and did playtesting. They're now married. Lisa tells Johan that Steve is at work, but to come back in a couple of hours. He tries again, in which Lisa tells him the same thing, he ended up working overtime and will call him. Steve never calls, and Johan never talks to him, never gets the chance to. As far as I know, looking up and down the internet, we've never gotten a response from Steve, this article or elsewhere. What's his side of the story? Again, all that evidence from the Wintermute forums and past interviews are damning to say the least. In fact, there's even speculation that the Amiga version had elements plagiarized. In the aftermath, Johan meets up with Tim and Lawrence. It's the first time the two have seen each other since the incident. There is no bad blood between them. They have laughs reflecting on the game's development. Returning to Lawrence's home, he digs up a design document of Limbo the Lost 2, something that Tim has never seen before. To which Lawrence has a confession. Steve did not want Tim on the sequel. Ice fucking cold. And hold on, we're not done here yet. Tim takes a look at the document and comes to a realization. That was all his work. The story he came up with years ago set aside. Steve was going to take it and steal it. The article ends with the line, "Dear God, Steve Bovis, dear God." Couldn't word it any better myself. What a wild story. Beyond a short follow-up article from the same magazine, that's all I could find from Lawrence and Tim. Lawrence himself would pass away at the age of 58 in 2018. A writer and musician all his life, he did have his works published in his later years. He had a YouTube channel with a couple of videos. Here's one of them featuring one of the songs he wrote.
You say black, I say white. You say wrong, I say we got to stay right. You say it's high, I tell you it's low. You say goodbye, I wanna have to say hello. 'Cause everyone's a poet, everyone's a clown. Everyone know better than the one they're putting down. Everyone's a scholar, everyone's a sage. Never met a teacher who could write a single page.
Tim Croucher? I hope he's doing well and has been able to move on. Time does heal all wounds, and Limbo was a deep one. Even in the interview, he was careful not to badmouth Steve Bovis, as if one day they may reconcile over things. I'd love to hear what Tim had in mind for a sequel to Limbo the Lost. You know, the one Steve didn't want him to work on and took these story ideas from. And Steve Bovis himself. Now this man is quite the enigma. Again, looking up and down, I couldn't find any public statements from him since the incident. We never heard his side of the story after everything went down, which of course is very telling in and of itself. I do have a great level of curiosity with what he would have to say. Would he come clean about it? Would he double down more on the idea of that being the work of an outsourced party? Again, with all the interviews he did discussing his role, along with the hundreds of posts on the Wintermute engine, I don't see how he could pull up any evidence proving it wasn't his doing. I would love to ask him, how in the world did he think no one would catch on to this? It's not like he took things from obscure sources here, especially Oblivion. What I also have a curiosity on is the Amiga version of they worked on up until the mid-90s. There is the screenshot from various magazines and a 2-room demo. How close were they to completion? I'm sure Steve and or Tim must have a build lying around somewhere, or even someone who worked at the publisher. Wouldn't it be a nice surprise to have it pop up one day online? I'm not holding out on any hopes, however. Plus, I'd be curious to see if Steve was lifting assets back then. There is some speculation from various screenshots of the Amiga version that there was some plagiarism. But who knows, we never got that version. What we got was this one. An interesting curiosity in gaming history. A game with bizarre point-and-click logic that differs from other point-and-click titles. And of course, the plagiarism. But amongst all that, buried within, there's plenty of charm here in Limbo the Lost. Yes, much of that comes from the bizarre nature of lifting assets from other games outright and identifying them as you play through, but from its eccentric cast of characters, there's plenty of heart within Limbo. Again, to paraphrase a comment I've seen in YouTube videos on Limbo, it did steal my heart, along with the assets. Thanks for watching. Special shout out to the Boulder Punchers who give extra support to the channel on Patreon or YouTube memberships. For those in the complete global saturation tier, American Boot, Flan Nagel. For those in the thank you for your patronage tier, Tom Terrible. For those in the now this is Boulder Punching tier, Ethan, the Madman in Waco, James Warner, Cray, Korean characters that Vegas Pro doesn't want to show but translates to Nate to, the original Narcy's Diet Thick Dew TM Neo Edition. For those in the Jill Sandwich tier, On Hell, Benji, Benny Winterdawn, BBF and Bloxburg, Dark Rod 99, Extraordinary 2, James Kilgore, Leonard Arnson, Logan Lepin, Mad Morpheus Gaming, Michael Walters, Nico Pero, Sam Jones, Squid Vicious, Will Hahn, and Zin. And now for the post-video Q&A. Those in the Jill Sandwich tier and above can ask questions for videos. From Flan Nagel, I remember reading somewhere that the people involved claimed all these stolen assets were done by a quote-unquote mysterious rogue developer. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bullshit do you think that explanation is? So as I went through in the video, more or less I'd say I'm about a 10 on this one. I mean, it is possible that maybe Steve found someone on those Wintermute forums to help him out. Maybe blackmailed Steve if he spoke up and didn't take credit for it himself. But I don't see any kind of situation where that turned out to be the case. There is always the possibility that Lawrence and Tim did have some involvement in the plagiarism, that they were aware with it, but all the evidence given, it doesn't appear that way. That's all on Steve Bovis. DarkRod99. Do you think point-and-click games have a place in today's gaming landscape? What do you think a title in that genre will need in order to be successful? Oh yeah, they definitely have their place, but very much at a niche level, which they've more or less been since late 90s, early 2000s. I'm not well-versed in the genre, but from what I understand, after that time frame, there was a number of Eastern European developers in the 2000s keeping the genre afloat. Then you have the rise of indie games that keep the point-and-click genre going. It's like classic survival horror genre, which does contain much of that same DNA. You have to go more to the indies to get your fix on that. I don't foresee any future point-and-click titles becoming some mammoth blockbuster, coming from some humble indie developer selling like hotcakes. Could be wrong. Would love to be wrong. Of the gaming genres, I don't see it breaking out of that niche audience. I mean, you have games like Blueprints, from which I understand does pull elements more on the puzzle front, but not of course, straight up point and click. And from what I understand, it pulls a lot from roguelike elements. I don't know how well the Riven remake sold. The studio did have some recent layoffs, and they had small enough staff as is, so probably didn't do that great. To be successful in this day and age, I think focusing on the timeless tropes of point and click and doing them well is key. Strong art direction being one, strong backgrounds, strong puzzles with the right balance of difficulty. You don't want something too easy, but you don't want players going, how would I ever come up with something like that? Avoid pixel hunting like the plague. Not like Limbo the Lost does here. Strong writing, strong characters, and a good sense of humor is also key. I always like to see some kind of humor in point-and-click titles, no matter the setting, whether it's up front and center or pops up every once in a while. The genre is a great space for it. So thanks again everyone for the questions. If you're interested in supporting the channel further through Patreon or YouTube memberships, check out the pinned comment or description. I hope you enjoyed this video on Limbo the Lost, and we'll see you around. Maybe one day you could be the true king of Limbo.
No, bye-bye then, Sailor Boy. I say, Sailor Boy, gooey.
Oh, you silly old fool, look at me. I can't even get myself out. Mind you, Sailor Boy, I will tell you this. Empty vessels make most noise. Well, that's at least what they said to me at the inn before they carted me out, brought me over here, put me in prison, don't know what I'm doing now. I can't even eat my food. Oh, well, my tongue's falling off anyway.